doesn't care about the law. He doesn't care about proof. He only cares about what's right.
All right, so here's the thing. This whole situation with Iran's drones, it's kind of wild. Like, back in November 2023, something pretty unexpected happened. The USS Eisenhower, one of those big American aircraft carriers, was cruising through the Strait of Hormuz, right? And out of nowhere, they got a warning from Iranian drones. Now, if it had been pretty much any other country, the US Navy would have just shot down the drone, no hesitation, right? But when it comes to Iran, the Navy actually backed off. I mean, they even pulled back their reconnaissance planes that were meant to keep an eye out. Now, that's not exactly the kind of thing you'd expect from the world's most powerful military, is it? Well, yeah, they are, but when it comes to Iran, they've got a reason to be careful. So let's break this down a little. First of all, it's not the drones themselves that are the real problem. Yeah, Iranian drones are no joke, but they're more of a warning system, really. The main body of the US aircraft carrier has long been equipped with a dense array of close-in defense guns, capable of firing an average of 6,000 rounds every 60 seconds. What the US Navy is really worried about is the anti-ship missile defense system behind these drones. And trust me, that's where things get pretty serious. Let's talk about the Strait of Hormuz for a second. Iran's got total control over that area, like they're the big boss there. No one's gonna mess with them. And this narrow waterway is perfect for Iran to unleash a bunch of anti-ship missiles. It's only about 55 to 95 kilometers wide, super narrow. The US Navy, sure, they've got their fancy systems for intercepting missiles, but in such a tight space? It's not so simple. If even one of those missiles gets through and hits a ship, especially an aircraft carrier, it's game over. That ship could be completely disabled in seconds. And those Iranian missiles are no joke. You're probably familiar with China's DF series of anti-ship missiles. Yeah, these are the real deal. The DF-21D, for example, can hit targets at 2,500 kilometers away, and it's faster than Mach 10. It's crazy fast and super accurate. It's basically designed to stop aircraft carriers dead in their tracks. I mean, the US military's used to being the king of the seas, but here, they're in a position where Iran's anti-ship capabilities give them a real advantage. So when the Eisenhower gets warned off by those drones, it's not just the drones themselves. It's the entire anti-ship missile network Iran's got set up in the region. Now, this is where things get a little more mind-blowing. You might be thinking Iran is a developing country, right? How do they have all this advanced tech? Well, yeah, they've got a small economy. GDP's under $4,700 per capita. And the way they've done it is fascinating. It's actually been a process of 3 stages, and each one made their missile capabilities stronger and stronger. The first stage goes way back to before the 1980s. At that time, Iran was actually collaborating with Israel. Yeah, hard to believe, right? But before 1979, things were different. Israel, backed by the US, had a strong interest in partnering with Iran, mainly because of their shared hostility toward their Arab neighbors. But then, the 1979 Islamic Revolution hit, and boom, everything changed. The US embassy was taken over, hostages were held, and Iran was pretty much cut off from the West, including Israel. From that point on, Iran started to build up its own missile program. So, after Iran started developing their own ballistic missiles, they moved on to the second stage of their missile program, which was all about copying Soviet missile technology. After the Soviet Union collapsed, Russia shifted its focus towards Iran. Back in the Boris Yeltsin era, Russia was struggling economically. They couldn't even pay their workers properly. So, a lot of top engineers jumped ship. Iran, being smart, swooped in and brought a bunch of these experts on board. With their help, Iran was able to develop its own version of the Meteor series of ballistic missiles. These missiles were huge, but they pack a serious punch. The introduction of these missiles made Iran a major military power in the Middle East. Then came the third stage, mastering anti-ship missile tech. Once Iran had their land-based missile systems up and running, they shifted their attention to the sea, where things get way more complicated. Anti-ship missiles aren't just about hitting something. They need to be accurate, maneuverable, and powerful enough to cause real damage. Iran initially struggled to get a grip on this technology, but they eventually turned to China's Sunburn supersonic anti-ship missile tech for inspiration. That's when things really started clicking for them. At first, Iran's homegrown anti-ship missiles were pretty sluggish. They were outdated, like from the 60s. They couldn't even take down a destroyer, let alone an aircraft carrier. So, yeah, they were kind of behind the times. But then Iran bought the C-802 missile from China. This missile was lighter, faster, more precise, and had much stronger destructive power. It was also adaptable. It could be launched from small patrol boats, big destroyers, or even submarines. So, it could be used both on the surface and underwater. And that gave Iran a massive upgrade in their missile arsenal. It was cost-effective too. Definitely a smart move. Once Iran got their hands on the C-802, they reverse-engineered it and created the Noor missile. The Noor missile turned out to be super effective. It's been used by groups like Hezbollah and the Houthis in Yemen to hit Israeli and UAE vessels. In 2018, for example, the Houthis hit a UAE warship with 2 Noor missiles, sinking it. These missiles have an impressive 100% hit rate. Since then, Noor missiles have gained a ton of recognition across the Middle East and in other parts of the developing world. With these missiles in their hands, Iran solidified its control over the eastern side of the Strait of Hormuz. It's pretty clear that they're not someone to mess with when it comes to naval power in that area. With the development of China's DF-17 missile, Iran once again soaked up some valuable tech and lessons. They took a lot from the DF-17 and used it to develop their own hypersonic missile, the Conqueror II. This missile has seriously impressive specs. Its design includes a body-conformal shape and a maneuverable re-entry vehicle, which makes it super stable and able to change course mid-flight. So it's way more advanced than the Noor missile and has a much longer range. With all these advanced anti-ship missiles, plus Iran's well-known no-nonsense attitude, they've really strengthened their influence in the region. The US Navy, they've got to be a lot more careful now when cruising through the Strait of Hormuz. The power that Iran has developed, especially with these advanced missiles, has made them a force to be reckoned with.